Hello and welcome to Super OK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. As always, my name is Dale, and I am joined here by one of my absolute favorite brothers. His name is Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
You know, I'm okay actually. I'm okay. Um, I had like today was a longer day at work. Uh, and I really just wanted to chill the fuck out, but I did not have the luxury of doing so because I also didn't record a podcast all last week, so I had to record it right now. Pulling back the curtain a little bit for our listeners, this is about an hour and a half ish before it's supposed to go live. So, oops, sorry. On the right side, you're getting real fresh takes, real hot, fresh takes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I am ready to provide some blazing hot and fresh takes.
Okay, great. Services will be rendered. I love it. I love it. This is a video game podcast, but we do not ever start by talking about video games unless a video game happens to be someone's highlight of the week. Highlight of the week is the thing where we talk about something that made our week a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer to live in. And we always let our guests go first. So, Kevin, why don't you share with us your highlight of the week?
My highlight of the week, this is the one time where I'm bummed to be going first because I know that it feeds right into yours, or yours would feed better into mine. But our sister and her boyfriend and our nephew were in town from out of state, and they needed some place to stay overnight because of festivities that occurred. And I was just super stoked to host them, to be able to like give them a cozy bed, clean room, warm shower, everything like that before they were up and on their way the next morning. It's the first time that I've ever like hosted anybody at my house overnight, so
Oh,
it was
nice.
kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Give them a warm place to crap. That's nice.
Yeah, that's not that was. I do have a bidet.
Look at that. Letting them shower and shower.
Okay.
Shower their bits. You know, you
Oh
talked
man,
about the other shower.
I did. I did talk about the other shower. I've never referred to a bidet as showering my bits, and I promise you I never will again.
Well, now it's in your head and it'll never leave.
It won't, but
Nope.
I'll try.
Yep. It's in there now. Uh yeah. That's nice, man. You said that they had to leave basically right away. Obviously one of the nephew that you spoke of in this case is a baby, a little tiny baby. How was having a baby in your house? Was it weird?
It was wild because he apparently was running on like maybe 2 hours of nap time total for the entirety of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like totally fine with being up until well past 10 p.m. I am like sitting on my couch yawning, and this infant is like, what if I throw this ball harder?
Amazing. I love him so much. He's a baby after my own heart.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So to your point, you talked about how my highlight of the week would feed into yours, and that is because this week was my birthday week. Uh, my birthday was on Friday, and my wife decided to go all out for my birthday this year, and started the festivities on Thursday, so the day before my birthday, which is totally a wild maneuver. And she was like, I'm going to take you out to a very fancy dinner. And I was like, okay, cool. And we went to a restaurant that I had never gone to called La Dolce Vita. And the food was really, really good. The vibes were awesome. Had an absolutely gorgeous patio next to this wall covered in vines. The service was subpar, but the food was great. Um, like they brought our food and we had to ask them for cutlery, like that level of like, kind of rough. Uh,
Ooh. Yeah, that's always a bummer.
yeah, but They had something on their menu that was basically like a steak marsala. So it was like a filet with a marsala sauce and broccoli and mashed potatoes, and it was like absolutely incredible. If you're in the area and you like a good steak, this was a very, very good steak. Not the best steak I've ever had, but very, very good. Uh,
Also, beware you may have to stare at your food until someone brings you cutlery.
or you can just ask for it like we did.
Yeah.
Once we let them know that we didn't have cutlery, they were quick to bring it out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
So they were at least responsive.
yeah, exactly. And it's the type of place where they bring you like a basket of bread and some oil and and fresh Parmesan to dip it in, and so it was a great meal. And then Friday, I had to work. And then after work, Ange was like, all right, we're going to go to another place you've never been. And I'm like, okay. And then she told me to close my eyes, which was really weird because we were in the car, but I know the city pretty well. And I know where we are staying. And so I'm like, I know all of the streets you're on. I'm not going to close my eyes. I know where we are. She's like, fine. And then I open my eyes and we're right where I think we are. And I'm like, also, I know all of these roads. Where are you taking me? And then we park where we always park when we're going to like Slows or Mercury. And we get out and I'm like, okay, now I'm like trying to figure out which of these places she's taking me because I've been to all of these places. Like I've been in the bike shop that's there. Like unless she's taking me into the place that always has a uh, sign outside that says like closed forever or whatever. I'm pretty sure that it's a recording studio and they just have that sign up to like stop solicitors or whatever. Um, I had been to all of the places. And then she's like, all right, we're crossing the street here. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to Slows. So we go to Slows. And I'm like, this is great. I love their food. I don't often get to eat in the restaurant. But as I am walking up, I see in the window my mother. And for those of you who aren't aware, my mother does not like to drive in the city of Detroit, like, will not do it. And so I'm like, okay. And also, she does not understand ride sharing programs. She does not understand Uber or Lyft. So there's no freaking way she got down there by herself. So I'm like, all right, somebody brought my mom down here. And then I see one of my nibblings in the window as well. And it's Daisy, and she's like waving at me. And then James next to her turns around and starts waving at me. And so I walk in, and the gang's all there, so they say, except my sister is not there, and her boyfriend is not there, and Levi, the little baby previously mentioned, is not there. And so what's interesting about this is those three, the older three nibblings, are staying in Michigan. And so I thought, oh, cool. Maybe Kevin went and picked them all up and brought my mom down and like all of that. But then, like seconds later, they walk in, my sister, and she's like, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then we had a really great meal, and it was lovely. Um, and then we all went to get ice cream together at Cold Truth afterwards and got some boba and just like hung out, had a really great time. I love them all dearly. It was awesome to get a chance to see them. Thank you again for driving mom
Oh
down.
yeah.
So then Saturday, we have a Ben Folds concert to go to in Kalamazoo. I'm going to try and keep the story quick because I'm running long. I know I am. I'm sorry. Um,
Bro, you are bragging about the things that your wife has done for you for your birthday. There's no such thing as running long.
Fair point. Yeah, she's awesome. And so we're like, okay, the concert's at 8. Let's work backwards to figure out how long we need, like to get there. And so we work backwards and we figure out, okay, we need to leave around like 3:40 to 4 o'clock to like have a bunch of extra time and like be comfortable getting there early so that way we don't have to wait in that long of a line, like that sort of thing. Awesome. So we do just that. On the way there, we're like, where do we want to eat? My dentist had recommended a place. Turns out that place an hour out of the way. Not going there. So instead, we found out that there's a Moe's Southwest Grill in Ann Arbor. We went and ate at Moe's. It's like a Qdoba or a Chipotle, but better.
Nice.
Not as good as Pancheros, but that was like a half an hour out of the way. continued on our way, and we're like, we're going to stop at the hotel. Now, Ange booked a Red Roof Inn for us to be there, and we anticipated that it was going to suck, but we also just were like, we need a bed, you know, we just need a bed. How bad could it possibly be? So we pull into this Red Roof Inn, and there are several men just sitting alone in their cars in the Red Roof Inn parking lot.
Oh,
Uh huh.
that I don't like that.
Uh huh. And like I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. It's a Red Roof Inn. Like, yeah. And Angie didn't know what that meant, so I had to point out that those are likely men who are there to like transport women to the Red Roof Inn and like make sure that they're okay with their clients and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was bad, right? And then Ange walks in and is like, "Hey, I'm here for my room," and the woman behind the counter goes, "Okay, I just need to go and find a clean room for you." And so she leaves Ange like in the lobby and go and like starts walking around this hotel to find a clean room. Now keep in mind, it's like 6:30 at night.
Did that lady have a computer in front of her?
She did.
Because I feel like that would be a thing that could help log what rooms are clean and ready.
You would think, but check this out. Wait for the rest of this story. She's gone for like 7 minutes, comes back, says, "All right, I've got a room for you," hands Ange the keys. She comes back, gets in the car. We drive over to where it is. It's a red roof inn, so all of the entrances and exits go outside. There's no like hallways or anything. You know, it is very much a motel, not a hotel. And we have to climb some stairs to like get to our room. And on our way there, there is a woman on the balcony, and in front of her, as we pass her, she has a mug. She has like one of those kitchen torches that you would use for like creme brulee.
I'm very familiar. I
And then
make a lot of
she
creme brulee.
And then she has a long glass straw with. Here's the thing, I'm a worldly person. I have never seen meth or heroin in my life, but I'm willing to bet that it was one of those substances in the end of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was crack, maybe it was meth. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it was something.
Um, okay.
And we're like, okay, but it's a Red Roof Inn. We knew it was going to be bad. So we
I
keep
mean,
walking.
wait. Knew it was going to be bad, and someone openly using substances is a
You,
different level of bad.
that woman smoking, we're going to assume it's meth, smoking meth was not going to impact whether or not there was a bed in this room that I could sleep in that night after watching Ben Folds,
Totally fair. I
right?
can understand that.
Like that's our thought process. We knew it was going to be bad, but all we needed was a bed. And so we get to the door that we're supposed to go in, and we scan the key, and the key doesn't work. And we scan the key, and the key doesn't work. And then we switch the key, and that key works. And I open the door, and I cannot describe to you exactly what I saw because this is a family podcast. But essentially, the the persons inside this room had set up black lights and were engaged in an act that only two consenting adults should be engaged in.
Playing Mario Kart under black lights, I get it.
You would think, but no. And then the woman raised her head, and I made eye contact and went, "Oh no, sorry," and closed the door. And then,
Oh,
uh huh. And then we left and went to the front desk, and I explained what happened to the woman at the front desk, and she goes, looking at the computer, "It says here that that room is clean and ready. What did you leave for?" I did not bother asking. I just explained that we would be receiving a refund. And she said, "Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me." And
oh my god.
and then it turns out that Ange had booked through like some wild ass like, we'll get you a cheap room called Hopper, and so we
Okay.
had to call Hopper to get our money back, and that took like 20 minutes.
Uh,
But in the time that we were doing that, we also were booking for like a Marriott just down the street. Um, that conveniently had no one doing meth or no people having sex in our room. So that part's cool, I guess.
Honestly, I think one of the two of those, like one or the other, you can maybe get around because it's like, okay, there were people banging it out in my room. Can I get another room? But when you're like on the way to the room and
Hmm.
there's just like open drug use,
If it had just been you gave us a room that was already occupied, like I could maybe have forgiven it. Maybe. Probably not, based on the general sketchiness of what was going on.
yeah,
But like, I don't know that I'm going to trust any other bed to be clean in that establishment after that, you know? So
yeah.
probably not, but like, there's a small chance. But what was very
Also,
funny, oh, go ahead.
no, well, this woman did apparently have a computer that told her that that room was clean and ready,
You would
and
think?
then ostensibly went to that room to check because she left the computer
Uh huh.
to quote unquote look for a room.
Yes. All of this is confusing to me.
I'm
And so
not
then,
even. It's not even. I'm amazed,
yeah,
assuming that she was accurate in describing everything she did. I'm actually just amazed.
yeah. So, yeah, pretty cool experience overall. But then Ben Folds played a really banger concert in which people wrote their requests on paper airplanes and threw them on the stage, and he would pick up a paper airplane and play whatever song was on it. So that was cool. Um, and then we came back the next day and went to Andrew's family's gathering in which we celebrated both mine, her brother Daniel, and her father's birthday because they're all very close to one another.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool.
yeah, and that was great. We had chicken shack. I had like 3/4 of a slab of ribs or something crazy like that. And they make sure to make everybody's favorite cake for it. So
Oh,
I had a funfetti cake, and Ange and
nice.
I brought a cheesecake for her dad, and then Daniel had some lemon cake that they had made. So really awesome time to like get to hang out with everybody and celebrate everyone's birthday. So really great weekend. Sorry I went so long, but it was a really awesome weekend with the exception of the Red Roof Inn. That was I'll never forget it. That's certain.
Don't you dare apologize. One, I'm glad that the Red Roof Inn story made it to a highlight of the week. And two, were there any songs that Ben Folds like picked up and read and was like, I'm actually not going to play this?
There were some songs, so he had his songbook with him, and there
Okay.
were some songs where he was like, I don't remember this one. I'm gonna play as much of it as I can from this book.
Okay.
And it was great because he started a song and midway through, like between the first verse and the second verse, realized he was in the wrong key and then switched to singing in the correct key, which at this point in his career was just like at the top end of his register. And so he was like, "All right, I'm done with this one," and then just moved on. Um,
Nice.
so that was pretty great. And then he at one point picked up a paper airplane that had nothing on the front or on the back of it.
So someone just threw a paper airplane at him?
Someone just threw a paper airplane. They did not understand the assignment. They just threw a blank paper airplane. And so
Nice.
he made up a song on the spot
Okay.
about
That's
that.
cool.
And there were a whole bunch of people who, despite the fact that he's publicly said he doesn't like doing Rock This Bitch anymore,
Yeah.
um, there were a whole bunch of people who screamed Rock This Bitch. And so he made it a Rock This Bitch. But he was like, I would like to never sing Rock This Bitch again, like in the song. So it was pretty good. It was a very good experience. He did not pick up my paper airplanes because none of them made it to the stage. We were sitting too far back. I hit several people in the back of their heads. But he did play uh, my favorite song of his that I've never heard him play before, which is the song "Mess" off of the album "The Autobiography of Reinhold Messner."
I
Um,
believe that's track 3. That's an absolute banger,
it
certified.
really is. It's so good. Yeah, so good. So yeah, that was my highlight of the week. Just like awesome event after awesome event after awesome event. And speaking of awesome events, today Kevin and I have decided because it was my birthday weekend, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare uh, too much for the outline, and so instead we are going to just go through some generic topics that are happening right now. We normally like to make our stuff evergreen, and some of this will be evergreen, but some of it is very much in the moment, like our discussion about the first event that is happening, which happens twice a year. It's the Games Done Quick Festival. This one is Summer Games Done Quick. It is going on right now. If you are listening to this, the day that it comes out on Tuesday, and so we just wanted to talk a little bit about Summer Games Done Quick. If there was anything awesome on the schedule that you wanted to highlight, have you ever considered speedrunning a game? Do you have any great memories from past speedrunning events? What do you got for me, Kevin?
So for me, I'm pretty excited about a few games. I usually just like pick a few that I want to watch and then just try to catch those because I know that I can't catch like 7 days worth of speed runs. But I'm excited to see Mirror's Edge because it's been a really long time since I've seen anybody play that game, and I remember it looking kind of cool, and I'm kind of excited to see how it stands up against both the graphics and how much people have broken it in speedruns because I feel like aside from some specific story points that it probably can be pretty broken.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to Katamari Forever, Hollow Knight, Pokemon White 2, just because I love watching people play Pokemon. I don't know, it's weird. And
Mhm.
then I've never seen this before, but someone is going to be doing an old school RuneScape run for the Chambers of Xeric raid solo. That was the first raid that they introduced to old school RuneScape. And I was just like, wait, someone's doing like a run of old school RuneScape at GDQ.
Mhm.
Because like that's like someone saying, yeah, I'm going to do a speed run of WoW, and I've just never heard of anything like that. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, as it pertains to me and potentially speed running something, uh, probably not. I am famously the slowest gamer that I know and most other people know. I like I'll get into a game and I'll be like, maybe I could speed run this because I want to play it more. But then I will watch a speed run of the game or look up what a speed run consists of and realize that there is so much more to it than just play game fast.
Mhm.
And I just can't commit to learning all of the different strats. Like for Pokemon, for instance, a lot of times on some of the generations, you're doing like uh, RNG manipulation, which at that point is actually no longer random numbers because you're manipulating them. But that's more semantics than anything important. But like knowing, oh, I have to walk this path through this tall grass so that I get exactly one encounter that's going to have the Geodude that I need with the IVs that I need so that I can take on the gym leader appropriately here. And as long as I don't get a crit, I'm good. Like the level of knowledge that goes into what somebody has to do is to speed run a game and to speed run it well. It just seems so far beyond anything that I feel like I would be capable of in my gaming career. And then any specific memories for past speed running events? Nothing that I can think of, but I am I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's like a Schadenfreude thing, but I do like watching different collections of people who have been caught like cheating on speed runs
Mm.
or like especially because it hasn't happened often, but like times where people have been caught doing cheating on speed runs at like marathons like GDQ. It's only happened a few times, but every time it happens and the way that it's found out is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's always funny to see people like just panic when that happens, like the terror on their face when they realize they've been caught. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or to just see like because there was for instance there's one that I remember a guy speedrunning one of the Metal Gear Solids, and then if they hit the incentive bonus, he was going to do the DLC. And he did the whole playthrough of the game totally perfectly. Had a couple missteps, and then he had pre-recorded the DLC, so he didn't play it live. And while it was playing, he was acting super weird and talking about like integrity in gaming and stuff. And everyone was like, wait, what? Like after it came out that he had cheated, everyone was like,
Mm.
what is this guy about?
I'll tell you what he's about. Cheating.
Yeah, as it turns out.
That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Oh man. All right, some runs that I am excited about. I am excited to see someone run Turnip Boy robs a bank. I am excited to see someone run Wario Land on the Virtual Boy, just because I've never seen anyone run anything on the Virtual Boy, so that seems great. To your point, Katamari Forever. Someone is going to do an Outer Wilds shipless playthrough, um, which sounds absolutely crazy.
I don't know enough about Outer Wilds to know how that is crazy.
Outer Wilds is a game in which you uh, are doing space exploration.
And they will be without a ship.
Apparently,
Hmm.
yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna bookmark this because they have updated their page. It's really awesome now. Where any run that has already happened, they upload it to YouTube as it happens, and they put the link like right in there. So I'm not going to watch this now because I'm currently playing Outer Wilds and I am either 15% of the way in or halfway through. I don't know. So I can't watch this yet, but I'm very excited to watch it later. They're also having two people do a Hollow Knight True Ending race. So that should be awesome. Friday, there is a Super Mario World Kaizo relay race. For those of you who are not into the like speedrunning vernacular, Kaizo are ROM hacks that are like made to be super, super difficult. And this is going to be four players on either team that have never seen these levels before. These like super, super difficult levels. And the way that it works is when you die, you hand over the controller to the next person on your team. And so you can't like try it over and over again. Like you've got to watch your other teammates and try and learn from like what they're doing, like that sort of thing. So that should be really cool. um as far as speedrunning myself, I have considered speedrunning a few times. There are a few times where I've like figured out like glitches or like out of bounds tricks and that sort of thing. But I am really worried that whatever game I picked to speedrun, I would just end up hating. I am the type of person who does not replay a game often. And so the idea to me of like playing one game over and over and over and over again for weeks at a time just sounds absolutely ludicrous unless that game is like a competitive like a fighting game or like a looter shooter or like a game that has more content, you know, like playing like a NES game that's like 55 minutes long for like 700 hours just sounds like my idea of hell.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, probably not going to be playing that.
Yeah.
But I totally respect the people who do. And one of my favorite memories for one of these games done quick. They do like incentives or bid wars, like to make people do specific things. You were mentioning playing the DLC in Metal Gear Solid 3, for instance. One of the bid wars that they always do is in Super Metroid for killing or saving the animals. And
Oh yeah.
I was watching a race, and if you saving the animals is technically the canon thing. Spoilers for Super Metroid, a game that came out over 30 years ago. But oh no, wait, no, not over 30 years, over 20 years ago, easy. Um, but anyway, saving the animals is canon, but it costs you a couple seconds because you have to go into a room that is not mandatory for you to go into, and so. speedrunners debate back and forth about, do you save the animals at the end of this game because it is what Samus does, like in the storyline, or do you fuck them animals, like kill them, uh, because it costs you time? And I was watching the Super Metroid race, and the whole time the lead is going back and forth between save the animals and kill the animals and save the animals and kill the animals. And finally, like somebody drops like $10,000. It's going to go to charity to ensure that Save the Animals won. And it was just so awesome, like seeing the crowd cheer in the background, seeing the runners with this look of like disappointment that their times weren't going to be world record worthy, like just all of the human emotion tied into it, and the fact that like 10K went to Doctors Without Borders. It was just a really cool moment, and I've wanted to go to a GDQ ever since. I just haven't had the opportunity. But it just seems like a really cool environment. It seems like they go out of their way to make it fully inclusive to all members of the gaming community. And they do like every year there's at least one or two spectacles that happens. Last year a dog did a speed run.
Oh,
Uh, his name was Mr. Peanut Butter, and he ran one of the like Rob the Robot games. It was awesome. So yeah, really, really big fan of the SGDQ and AGDQ. And if you haven't watched them, I highly recommend giving them a shot. Anything else that you want to talk about regarding the speedrunning events before we move on?
I guess to some extent about the speedrunning events, like it's I also like it because in addition to just the spectacle of like certain incentives or certain things that they have planned,
Hmm.
there's like even though these are people that have played these games, like you said about why you don't want to play games like thousands of times potentially,
Yeah.
like you cannot plan for every variable, and so seeing the way that people just interact with adversity that they weren't planning on, uh, in something that they are so well versed in, is also quite the sight to see, because you're like I don't think you mentioned this, but for anyone that doesn't know, if you're at a marathon for a speedrunning event, you're probably not getting world record numbers, because
Right.
there's just like you're not locked in the same way that you would be if you were just like streaming this day in day out. So like the way that people can kind of have fun with these things that they have devoted so much time to and push themselves in, while still also being like, well, can't do anything about that, and just kind of rolling with the punches. It's really cool. Like I think I like the atmosphere of speed running marathon and events almost more than the specific dedication it takes to like be a speed runner, if that makes sense.
I totally get that. And honestly, I would probably be right there with you. But my favorite sports to watch have always been individual exhibitions of human excellence. I'm
Yeah,
a big fan of like watching skateboarding. I like watching, like, if the Olympics are on, I would much rather watch like gymnastics than like basketball.
yeah,
Like, like I want to see an individual human push themselves to the limit. And speedrunning also lets people do that, but in a medium that I am vastly far more familiar with, which is video games. And so
yeah.
I can recognize, like, oh man, it is so awesome that they were able to hit this frame perfect trick in a setting that is not at all controlled, with people behind them shouting nonsense. Like I just love it. I love everything about it. But I totally agree. Like, the environment and like what has been built up, to me, is more important than any one individual speedrunner. But I totally appreciate the act of all of those speedrunners coming together to accomplish this amazing goal.
Yeah, yeah. I may maybe I misphrased it, because like I don't want to take anything from the speedrunners. Just like I think that the environment of having those marathons and those events almost like enhances it even further, right?
Yes,
Than
totally
just
agree.
like I'm locked in, I am grinding for a world record here. Because that obviously, like, oh my god,
Hmm.
we just talked about how I could never,
Yeah.
but just like the way that an event enhances that even more so. And to some extent, it gets more people out there. Like the reason I started following Jesus Here's Toast on Twitch was because of watching him. I think it was Bloodborne that he was just dumpstering people and just memeing left and right. Like he was so casual about everything that he was doing while just racing through this game.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense to me. It's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
If you've never checked it out, I highly recommend checking it out. Try watching one of the if you're just getting into speedrunning, try watching one of the races, because that's a scenario where even if you're like, I have no idea what they're doing, you'll be able to tell one of them is in front of the other, and so it's like you can at least like root for someone and like have a generic idea of like who's doing better, like that sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to watch. So
And to that point, if you are like newer to speedrunning or a specific game, it may help to watch it in an event because, like at GDQ, the runner also has a like a commentary team with them that
hmm
will explain what's happening as it's happening, so that the runner is able to stay a little bit more locked in.
yeah, yeah, it's very cool, very cool. All right. So speaking of events, the next thing is a bit of news that just dropped about Evo 2024. This came out like earlier today, if I'm not mistaken, and basically they have announced how many players are going to be competing in each of the different games that they are hosting. And what's awesome about this is, first off, uh, this is going to be the largest event ever for any esport, as far as like number of people who are competing. Um, a brand new record for registered players, largest esport event ever, which is awesome. In order, the games are that like, and the number of participants. There are 5,265 people who are going to be playing Street Fighter 6. 4,646 people are going to be playing Tekken 8. 2,058 people would be playing Guilty Gear Strive. Granblue versus Rising will have 1,377 people playing, almost elite. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is going to have 1,101 players. And then there's a whole bunch of others after that, including Under Night and Birth 2, Mortal Kombat 1, King of Fighters. Those all have less than 1,000 people playing them. But really, really awesome. Starts on the 19th of July. Very excited to see what happens. I mentioned this on the podcast before. I went to Combo Breaker this year, which is like the number, I think it's number three largest gaming tournament in the US. And it was an amazing opportunity. And the person I went there to watch, Jingo J, who happens to be my nephew, competed there in Guilty Gear Strive. And he'll actually be traveling out to Las Vegas this year to compete at Evo in Guilty Gear Strive. So root him on. But what are your thoughts about this?
One, I think it's very cool that there is still so much uh, just like popularity or so much pull to
hmm
live events. Like it feels after so many years of of online events and streaming events. Not to say that that isn't great for accessibility and inclusivity, but there is something about the energy of like a live event. You're sitting like, especially with a fighting game, you are sitting down next to your opponent. You guys are doing the absolute best you can. And then you're able to like get up, look this person in the face, and be like GG's, regardless of the outcome. I think there's something very, very cool about that. So I'm glad to see that more and more events are back in person. Uh, the number, just the sheer numbers, is really cool. But I wish I knew a little bit more about fighting games because I don't know what it necessarily takes to be an entrant in Evo. Like, is it based on a percentage of the player base? Is it based on specific local accolades that had to be achieved prior to entering? And then there's like a committee that determines whether you're actually able to get on there. Is it a free for all for anybody who's able to compete? You know,
It's that.
it's that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to compete can sign up. Obviously, some people are going to have like sponsorships that allow them to like travel, but some people are just paying their own way.
Okay.
But yeah, really, really awesome to like see how large of an event this is and how many people are willing to come out for it and pay the,
Yeah.
like to do it and all of that. So
Yeah, and like just as you mentioned, sponsorships like that takes an investment from whoever the sponsor is to say like, yeah, it's worth our time to send somebody here. So that means that there are companies that are willing to invest in esports of this nature specifically to get people there, which is very cool.
yeah,
So I'm a huge fan of that. I was really surprised to see that Mortal Kombat 1 had less than 1,000 people compared to Street Fighter and Tekken, and Guilty Gear, because I feel like I didn't really know about Guilty Gear that much until I found out that Jingo J was out there playing it. And I'm gonna be dead honest. I had no idea that Granblue Fantasy was a fighter game. I had no idea.
yeah. So in order, apparently Mortal Kombat One has pretty bad reviews. Most people do not like it, which is pretty funny.
Are they
And
playing it on the Switch?
no, they're just playing it, but like most people aren't playing that because if you could be playing either Street Fighter 6, which has amazing reviews, or Tekken 8, which also has amazing reviews, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's
Yes,
fair.
yes, you can be Homelander in Mortal Kombat 1 or Peacemaker or I don't know, like
They put Omni Man in there, right?
yeah, sure. Like those dudes. Yes, you can be them, but like that's not enough of a draw to make it like a real competitive fighting game.
Yeah.
Um, Grand Blue Fantasy, what's interesting about that is there's like four different games set in that IP. There's the original, which is like the MMO kind of game. There are actually two different fighting games. There's Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and then Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising, which is the new version that they're playing here. And then there's also Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is kind of like uh, almost like a Genshin Impact, but it's not free to play. So yeah,
Wait. So there's still like a gotcha aspect, but you have to pay for the game too?
I don't think you pay for the characters that you unlock. I think it's
Oh,
like you
okay.
earn unlocks through the game.
Okay.
But I do not know for sure. I haven't played it. You can ask Senseless Guy or King Face in the Discord. They're both playing it.
Okay.
But yeah, I do not. I'm like 90% sure you do not have to buy your characters.
Cool.
But my understanding is, just from watching them play, that it plays similarly to a Genshin Impact, is what I meant by it's like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was probably thinking of like if there was like an MMO or like an RPG base, like that type of Grand Blue. Like that's what my brain went to. So when I saw the title Grand Blue here, I was like, wait, fight?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's awesome how much of a resurgence fighting games are having right now. Like it just goes to show that if companies put out quality games, people will play them and a competitive scene will show up for them. This is the largest Tekken 8 fighting game tournament or largest Tekken fighting game tournament ever, right? The
Yeah.
last record was back in 2019, and so to see Tekken having such an amazing resurgence is really awesome. I truly wish I could go to this, but I have to travel for work that week. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's just it seems like it's going to be an amazing time though. So really really excited about it. Let's talk about something I'm not too excited about.
Okay. Can't
Uh,
wait.
so uh, PC Games N is this company that or is you know is a video game journalism website. That's the word I was looking for. Published an article that says Steam users have spent $19 billion on games that they've never played, which is truly insane.
That's so many dollars.
It is. Now, the way that this works is they took a look at all of the registered Steam accounts in the world. About 10% of those are have their game libraries listed as being public. Based on the data, they're guessing that 1.9 billion worth of games are in all of those people's libraries. And then they multiply that by 10 for the other 90% that they can't see. And they're guessing that it's $19 billion worth of Steam games that have never even been played. And that is more than the gross national product of Nicaragua. And that's pretty wild,
Yeah.
right? Now, I think the math there is a little dubious because to assume that all players have the same Steam libraries as the players who are willing to make their game list public is probably inaccurate. The people who make their game list public have to do so on purpose. I did this. I had to go in and flip a switch to like get this data, right? And so my guess is the people who are less invested in video games are both not going to flip that switch and also therefore likely not going to have as large of a Steam library. That said, I ran some numbers on my own library. I have 475 games total in my Steam library. And of those, I have yet to play, I'm phrasing it in a very optimistic manner, 293 games with an estimated value of $3,200. Now, there are several caveats to this. First off, I looked through this list of games I haven't played. It's inaccurate. There are games on there that I have beaten. There are games on there that I have beaten on other consoles. There are games on there that I'm currently actively playing, and it's saying that I haven't played them yet. So it's not 100% accurate. Secondly, this is giving the estimated value based on their current price in the Steam store, and I got a whole bunch of these games in bundles, right? So like the number one game in my list that I haven't played yet is Back for Blood, which is a $60 game still somehow. I know for a fact I got that in a humble bundle. And it came with a whole bunch of other games. And so it's not taking that into account. But that's still like 66% of my Steam library that I haven't played yet. What are your thoughts on this?
So a couple of things. One, I totally agree with the critique of the methodology because there's obviously there's something different about people who make their Steam libraries public versus people who don't, right? Because the
Yeah.
default is not. So you had to go in and make a choice. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe those folks are just built different. I don't know. Maybe they spend more on video games. I don't know. But from two people that had to go in and make their uh, game list public in order to check this out, one, I still can figure out how to check it out. My game list is public. I don't know how to check it. But I will say that compared to your 475 games, I have 24,
Okay.
which is, well, wait, because I just went to all games and now it says 35, which is more than 24.
It is.
But I have played most of them. I have gotten most of them for free. Uh, so anything that is to like to look at and be like, well, now it costs this much. Like for instance, content warning. I have not played content warning right now, but when it first came out 3 months ago now, it was free for the first 24 hours. So I
Right.
went and I picked it up and I downloaded it. According to this, it would show up as a $10 or $20. I don't know how much it retails for. $10 or $20 unplayed game that they would lump into that 1.9 billion. Uh, so there are obviously some issues with the methodology. To their credit, though, value is based on what other people would pay, right? So it's not based on what you paid. It's this game is retailing for X dollars. That is the value of that game. Um,
Okay.
So I can kind of see why they chose the methodology that they did, but also just to compare, two people, like I feel like I play games more deliberately. I don't generally collect a lot of them. I say as I am looking over at physical discs that are waiting to be placed into my PS5 and have not yet.
Hmm.
Um, so so for me, like I will download a game if it is free. We talked a little bit about my Epic Games library and how a lot of those are just free games that I downloaded because when I go into Epic Games Launcher, it's like, hey, do you want this free game? And I'm like, I guess it's not like it. Someone else somewhere else is saving that this is in my library. It's not taking up any space on my computer. It's not taking up any physical space in my home.
Hmm.
Why not?
Yep.
Uh, and I have bought exactly one Humble Bundle.
Okay.
One. It included Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. And I am thrilled that I got that because it was very cheap. Um, but I only have one Humble Bundle compared to what I'm guessing is probably at least 100 for your collection.
I don't know that I have 100 humble bundles, but I guarantee at least 100 of these games, probably two or 300 of them came from humble bundles. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking through the list here. First off, I have played Ultimate Chicken Horse, but second off, I got that from a humble bundle. Like, I got Tower of Guns from a humble bundle. I got Alan Wake from a humble bundle. Like, I very, very rarely buy individual games from Steam unless I'm like super excited about it. So yeah, to your point, like I have Half Life 2 in here. That was part of a bundle that I bought on Steam that came with like every Valve game, and I think I paid $1 for it. And they're listing Half Life
Nice.
2 at 90 or at 9.99. They're
Yeah.
listing all of the different Counter Strikes at $10 a piece, and it's like I definitely did not pay that much. But to your point, value is what something is worth. Value is what someone is worth paying for it. So if there's anyone out there who wants to give me $3,200 for my Steam library, hit your boy up. Because man, yes, I would take that. Uh,
Would you
okay.
then turn around and just start buying Humble Bundles again?
Yes.
Well, I mean, at that point, it might as well just become a job,
I'm,
right? Like, just start
I'm,
flipping Steam libraries.
I'm playing with house money at that point, brother. Like, yes, I would do that. Do you know how many bundles I could get for 3,200 US dollars? All
probably,
of them.
probably enough to sell somebody another Steam library for $3,200.
Also, top secret confession time. I'll go first. This ain't even all the games from Humble Bundles. I got a whole bunch of keys I ain't even redeemed that I use as giveaways. Like,
That's how I have Mini Metro.
it's a
Like
great game though.
it is. I own it on iOS,
Hmm.
and and it was one of the few games that I had the option of picking from in the giveaway that I knew would also work on Mac.
I see. Yes, 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 yes. But anyway, yeah, Steam backlogs. Lol. I don't know about this website pcgamesn.com, but I do know that they are not wrong. People got a lot of games.
I also kind of love that they called it the pile of shame because like some people are totally fine with that, but other people are like we make memes about how steep backlogs of games can get
Yeah.
because there's at least some aspect of like, oh my god, I can't believe I bought all these games and I haven't played any.
Hmm. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
All right. Next up, this one's funny. It's not going to take too long to talk about, but it's just ridiculous.
I do love
Uh,
it.
yeah, this is from a website called Techtroduce, but I saw it on a bunch of different places. Nintendo is in their like shareholders meeting. They have talked about how their next console will not have component shortages in an effort to avoid scalpers. Now, if you guys remember, Switch came out, extremely limited supply chain, really, really hard to get one. PlayStation 5 came out, extremely limited supply chain, really hard to get one. Xbox Series X came out, limited supply chain, really hard to get one. And so those are all situations that scalpers took advantage of. They would buy them from stores and they would mark them up and sell them on Craigslist or eBay or wherever, right?
Also, just there was like a reprise of that for the Nintendo Switch when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, because it
Yeah.
came out the same day that most states were calling a stay-at-home quarantine order for the pandemic. So it like that absolutely blew out Nintendo Switch inventories.
Yes, that is true. That is very true. Good call. So what's funny about this is Nintendo hasn't announced this console yet. Nintendo has not. We don't know anything about it except for the fact that apparently they've solved their supply chain issues. And I just think it's really freaking funny that we live in a world where shareholders get to know about the supply chain issues of a console they haven't even announced yet.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of love that. It's late is like it is next level capitalism.
Yeah.
Like like shareholders, we're going to deliver value. How are we going to deliver value? With our next product. What about the next product? It's going to be available, and we're going to
Yep.
make sure of it.
It's gonna be available. Cool. Any other details? No, you don't need them. You just need to know we've got it figured out, guys.
There any other details? Yes, please refer back to when we said that the next console will be revealed before April of 2025. And then also know it's going to be available.
Yep. Shit's ridiculous.
It's so funny. No, I do. The ridiculousness of that announcement aside, I do kind of appreciate them at least addressing the fact that they recognize scalpers in gaming is a problem, and that they are trying to do something to provide a solution. It does feel weird that it is a, a statement made by Nintendo execs to their shareholder general meeting, because that feels like it should more be something like a press release to the public. But maybe because they don't have more information about the console itself, they don't feel comfortable making that assertion to the public. I don't really know. But to Nintendo's credit, I like that they are noticing that there's an issue and they want to do something about it. And this seems like it's probably the simplest solution. If we can make sure that the console is available by not having any sort of impedance in supply chain issues that may come along. Obviously, they can't plan for a global pandemic, but maybe they can. Maybe they have. Maybe that's why they're so confident.
I don't know, man. It's just insane to me that they're even doing like announce the name of the console before you announce that it's going to be available. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Listen, the the article that you have referred everyone to from TechTraduce
mhm.
calls it the Nintendo Switch 2. That's it. It's canon.
I guess so. Yeah,
It's not canon.
it's not at all.
It's not canon. Nothing about this console has been announced, other than that there will be an announcement in before April of 2025, and that it will be available.
It's gonna be available, guys. Freaking ridiculous.
Get out of here, scalpers.
Also,
We're
scalp.
gonna yeah. Also, get out of here, scalpels. We don't like getting cut. Get out
We
of here,
don't need no
scalpers.
surgery. Get
We
on, go.
we're gonna have this console available.
Fucking ridiculous. We live in the weirdest timeline, man. All right. It is time for our last question. This question is sponsored by the recent heat wave that we've had. And the heat wave says, man, this heat wave would be concerning if global warming weren't a myth. I'm gonna take that again. This heat wave would be concerning if global warming weren't a myth. Anyway, if you want your balls to stick to everything, try an oppressive heat wave. Weird. That's a weird advertisement, Heatwave. Anyway, the Heatwave wants you to follow Nintendo suit and they want you to make an announcement about a thing that hasn't even been announced. Kevin, what is your thing and what is your announcement about that thing?
My announcement. is that the next Tesla to be announced will also have a subsequent recall. And it's also because it can't go through car washes. And I know if you are listening to this, you may be thinking, Kevin, you're just copying a thing that's already happened. And yes, but the person who keeps innovating for innovation's sake rather than for actual function doesn't seem to be learning anything. So this is an easy one, and that's a dub.
Okay. I hadn't heard that Tesla can't go through a car wash.
Yeah, Cybertrucks just they like break. They just shut down.
I started to Google Tesla can't, and holy shit, that's a trip. If you just type Tesla can't, there's so many things in here. It's great. Oh man, I
Great,
love it.
great is definitely a word to describe it.
As someone who is actively rooting against Elon Musk, this is great.
Oh no. Oh no.
What?
Texas can't is so bad.
Texas can't?
There's things about Teslas in Texas, so I was looking at the word Texas when I said Tesla, so Texas can't. But also Tesla can't. Tesla can't open door. That's
Right?
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some rough shit in there, man. Anyway, my announcement is the meat served in Taco Bell's mystery meat burrito, while not being graded by the USDA or the FDA or even the ATF, is not human meat and is in fact safe for human consumption. Also, it is unlikely to give you the consumption, which is more commonly known as TB, which in this case stands for tuberculosis and not Taco Bell in this instance, though it has not been tested for consumption explicitly.
I like that for a number of reasons. One, mystery meat burrito sounds like it's going to be a steal.
Yep.
Two, two, all of the jokes and memes about Taco Bell, but they keep delivering consistent quality. And folks might blame Taco Bell for their intestinal distress, but I will stand by it. I have had worse times from other fast food purveyors and not Taco Bell. Like Taco Bell has consistently delivered me an experience that I expect, and rarely does it end with me being sad.
Yeah. Who cares what percentage of their ground beef is sand? I don't. It's good.
That just sounds like I'm gonna get my teeth sandblasted and thus cleaner.
Not your teeth, my man.
I gotta
Colon?
eat the
Yes.
sure that too, but I gotta eat the food. It's
Yeah,
gotta
I
go
mean,
through the teeth.
to your credit, well, it's a goo. You could probably swallow it whole. But,
Gi- Give me some of that Taco Bell goo meat, please.
dude, oh man. To your credit, though, I agree with you. Taco Bell has never really bothered my stomach. I do not understand people who claim that it bothers their stomach. Like, figure out your gut biome, guy. Like, but also now the idea of there's that food reviewer who almost killed himself because he doesn't chew his food, and I love the idea of him like retiring and eating only Taco Bell because it's goo. You just swallow.
I don't know anything about this food reviewer, but I do know what I'm going to do with my time immediately after we end this podcast.
Dude, he's a guy who like almost killed himself because he like tried to swallow a potato whole or some shit. I don't know.
I I'm looking him up.
Yeah, yeah, I highly recommend taking a look at him. Oh man. Anyway, you got anything else to say about any of these topics?
Uh, you know, I know that you had mentioned some of these are like more more like newsworthy and on the front of what's happening in current events. But if there was like one evergreen phrase that you could provide for folks that was just like two words, what do you think it would be?
2 words?
Maybe three.
I mean, fuck you, Dan, obviously.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, good call. Good call. Where can you be found?
I can be found like just about anywhere as Kevin
What?
Tense, just
You're
like anywhere.
omnipresent?
I'm I am omnipresent. Just about anywhere is Kevin Tense. Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky, Twitter. It's not X. It's still Twitter. It's still real to me. It's still Twitter to me. TikTok. Um, what? Is there like a Bingle now? I'm probably on Bingle.
You're on Bingle.
Yeah,
That's good. You on Snapchat?
I am on Snapchat. I don't know if
Yeah,
my name is Kevin Tuts on Snapchat, but I am on Snapchat. Oh,
you're
and
on.
in the Discord, obviously. I haven't mentioned in the Discord, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Kevin Tuts in the Discord.
you on Mastodon?
No, no, I'm not doing any toots on Mastodon these days.
No toots. Okay.
Yeah,
You on Wef Wef?
I, I, I don't believe you that that's a thing.
It's a thing. You on
No,
Hive Social?
no, no. I did consider doing the Bumble Friends thing, um, but I don't like people enough, and I feel like I've got enough friends.
I don't know what Bumble Friends is, and it sounds very sad. And I don't want to end the episode on a sad note.
Well, then why
So
don't you tell people where you can be found?
I was just gonna say you can find me on Discord and on Blue Sky, and I guess I do still have a Hive Social account, so you can follow me there.
Oh
I
wait,
know
oh my God, I do have a Hive Social. Wait, I downloaded it. I don't think I ever set it up. Never mind.
my last post is from 17 months ago, and it's an axolotl that I saw at the Detroit Aquarium on Belle Isle. So that's great. Anyway, yeah, mostly the Discord and Blue Sky though. Anyway, I think that's everything. You got anything else to say about any of this stuff?
No, no, I think we kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I think so too. That axolotl is real cute. I'm happy to end on that.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, I hope everybody has a super okay day. Thanks immensely to all of our Patreons for being Patreons and supporting the show. And if you aren't supporting the show with money, you can do it by telling people about the show. We're grateful for all of that because we don't spend any money on advertising. It's all you, baby. And shout out to our international listeners. Thanks to all of you. Say goodbye.
bye.
Bye.